All right, there we go. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019. You are watching Hitting the Wall. I am Kyle Walker. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. I want to, of course, start as I usually do the week after a guest. I want to thank Joe for stopping in last week and talking to us. I thought it was really great conversation, a good show, good points being made by everyone. So if you did not get a chance to see that last week, I would humbly suggest that you go back and take a gander, as it was a good episode. So thank you to Joe for spending your time with us last week. Don't forget that Joe will be here again in 2 weeks, but I won't be. So Joe is running the show in 2 weeks on November 5th. So just be ready for that. Be afraid, be very afraid, or whatever. No, it's okay. So let's see here. Just to get things started, you guys might have seen last week or heard last week, if you saw the show with Joe, that towards the end, my boy wanted to talk a little trash, wanted to throw out a little fantasy football hate in my direction, and I tried to tell him, you don't come at my fantasy football squad like that. And in our head-to-head matchup, I had to lay the hammer down. And so that's a victory for Kyle Reno in the fantasy football matchup with Joe. That'll teach him to talk that smack on his way to taking an L. So anyway, also getting started is the World Series. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to catch some of that action. I honestly don't know who I'm rooting for. It's the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros. I'm in Kansas City. Do we really care? I guess go American League team. So I guess we're rooting for the Astros. I don't know. If you have a big opinion either way, share it here in the chat, because I don't. It's whatevs. Moving right along, last week, the coolest thing happened. If you did not see this, you guys know I'm a big runner. I'm wearing my Chicago Marathon. Oh, no, where's the logo? Oh, I'm backwards. It's right there. I'm wearing my Chicago Marathon stuff. But Ulid Kipchoge, the Kenyan runner, ran a marathon in under 2 hours last week. He did it in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds just to prove that it could be done. And it was the coolest thing to watch him do that. So if you haven't seen that, you can see highlights of it. It's all over the interwebs. You ought to check that out. That was really amazing. And really, he just did it to prove that it could be done. So congratulations to him. That is super cool. And then our last piece of just housekeeping here at the start, we do have the new website. It's up and running. If you go to www.hittingthewallpodcast.com, you can see our new website, which has been redesigned. It's still in the process of, but it's mainly done, almost completed. But it's really cool. It just kind of went live this week and is actually, I think, really impressive looking. So please go to the website, www.hittingthewallpodcast.com, and give it a look-see, because I think it's pretty cool. Now, you might notice, I don't know if it's translating well over the microphone, you might notice that my voice is not the same as usual. Few reasons that I'll go into. I was at a concert Saturday night, yelling and screaming my head off, singing along with 2 hard rock bands. And so I know that my voice is not where it should be. And then I'm fearful that just that seasonal cold might be zeroing in on me, as I've got a little bit of sore throat working today. If this is the worst that it's going to be, I'm good with that. If it gets much worse than this, that's going to suck. But oh well. So if I sound off tonight, that's what it's about. I apologize. So let's dive in. So here's what we're going to talk about this week. If you are on my Facebook friend list, if you know me personally, and let's be honest, most of the fans of this show do, you saw me post last week that I wasn't going to do an episode tonight. My heart was not in it. I had no desire to do it. I wanted to just kind of explain to you why. So last week, I was having a very rough week. Personal things and work things. And I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I got some health news, and I got to really start taking care of myself better than I was. And so everything just kind of piled on me last week. And so I wanted to go into seclusion. I didn't want to do a podcast. I have no plans for this week. I had no plans for the weekend. I really just wanted to come home and hide and not interact with people and not do things. And really, it kind of took this past weekend of getting out and trying to, and talking to some people to kind of figure out what was wrong with me. But man, I was physically tired last week from doing all this, changing my diet and exercising more. I was physically tired. I was mentally tired from this show, mentally tired of trying to come up with new material every week. And then the way that people are kind of dealing with me right now, I will be the first to admit that's not always the easiest thing. So I will go onto Facebook, and you all have seen this. If we're at a weird number of likes for the show page, I will post the page and I'll say, hey, can we get to this many likes or this many likes? And no matter how I phrase it, no matter how I do it, no matter how polite and loving I am, anytime I post that, hey, I would like more likes for this page, inevitably, no less than 3 people unlike it. Because, and to me, that just feels like personal shots. They're taking personal shots at yours truly. Because, if you're mad at me, you would just take me off the Facebook friend list, right? But because people know how much I'm trying to grow this show and how much effort I put into it, when I ask for help and it is met with the complete 180-degree opposite, I take that personally. So I'm trying desperately to get this piddly little thing up to just 300 likes. I asked for help, and whoom, down it goes. Down the like count went, and there's no way to not take that personally. Now, what's really funny is I can see the people who do that. Like, if you think you're being all incognito, you're not. Which is why last week, when I know a particular person was pissed off with me, they didn't unfriend me on Facebook. No, they just unliked the show. And I just think that is anyway. I put a lot of effort into this show. We've been doing this for over 2 years, and in 2 weeks we will do 3 weeks. In 3 weeks we're going to do our 100th episode. So we've worked hard on this for a very long time. So for someone to just saying, I'm not going to help, and to it wears on me right up here. It may sound stupid, but that is one of the things that just bugs me to death. So I was mentally tired because of that happening last week. And then I was pretty emotionally drained. Okay, there's that. And then I'll be super honest. I've told you guys that our promotions company has launched another podcast, which is really cool. But there were times last week where I kind of felt like mine might have been getting pushed to the back burner a little bit. And I'll be real honest, I can't do this without them. And so when it felt to me, rightly or wrongly, it felt to me that I was being kind of pushed to the side. That was something that really started to mess with me emotionally, because I want this to be as successful as possible. And it got me so much emotionally that I had what would have been the final episode of the show all mapped out in my head. I was ready to be done. I was going to stop. I was like, here's where we're going to leave it. And, maybe I'll go try something else with life. Thankfully, that did not stick around. I have changed my stance. I'm good with them. Hopefully they're good with me. Again, it was just one of those weeks where everything was compounding on each other. And so my response, to all this was I was going to get off social media. I wasn't going to do the show. I even said out there, I'm going to step away for a week. And so I was just going to go in solitude. But really, what is that? I took a hard look at what that is. And that is what we call burnout. I was burned out. I was burned out on interacting with people. I was burned out on trying to grow the show. I was burned out on even doing the show, on going live Tuesday night and trying to make this worth watching without completely messing it all up as you guys sit here and watch this. As I watch the views go up and down like I do every week, because I can see when people hop in and when they hop out. I was burned out on all of it. So what is burnout? I'm going to start throwing a lot of information you guys' way, but here's the thing. While it won't all pertain to you, a lot will. And I think you're gonna realize, whoa, I have got a little burnout in my own life, maybe here, there, or yonder. And here's some ways we're going to talk about it. We're going to address it. So what is burnout? This is what I pulled. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by the excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. As the stress continues, you begin to lose the interest and motivation that led you to take on a certain role in the first place. Okay, that right there is most of us, most of the time. Burnout reduces productivity. It saps your energy, leaving you feeling increasingly helpless, hopeless, cynical, and resentful. Eventually, you may feel like you have nothing more to give. This sounds like everything that I went through last week. Okay, the negative effects of burnout spill over into every area of life, including your home, work, and social life. Burnout can also cause long-term changes to your body that will make you vulnerable to illness like colds and flu. What did I just say? It's crazy how accurate this is. Because of its many consequences, it's important to deal with burnout right away. Okay, so here's some things you can look at, like in your own mental side, if you're on the road to burnout, as it says. You may be on the road to burnout if every day is a bad day. Caring about your work or home life seems like a total waste of energy. You're exhausted all the time. And let's be serious, how many of us don't walk around in some kind of permanent state of exhaustion? The majority of your day is spent on tasks you find either mind-numbingly dull or overwhelming. Okay, and see, for me, with my job, my 9 to 5, how I pay the bills, mind-numbingly dull. I use that term a lot when I describe it. It's not my job's fault. It's just the nature of the work. Then on the other side of it, I know there are people who are overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed constantly with their job and the expectations that are put upon them. And then you feel like what you do makes no difference or is not appreciated. That's what I was feeling last week, that all the effort I put into the show, like, it didn't make a difference and it wasn't at all being appreciated. When people unlike the show after I've specifically asked for likes, that says we don't appreciate what you're doing. Rightly or wrongly, that's how I take it. I am not a perfect human being. Shocking, I know. I'll give you a second to process that. So here's some signs and symptoms of burnout. Most of us have days when we feel helpless, overloaded, or underappreciated. When dragging ourselves out of bed requires the determination of Hercules. I love how they worded that. If you feel like this is most of the time, however, you might be burned out. Now, yeah, after a late night at a rock concert, getting up the next morning when I had my kids here was difficult. Okay, but that's not an everyday thing. There are those where every day is a constant struggle to get out of your bed and to get started with your day. Now, burnout is a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. Hashtag truth. But it can creep up on you. Okay, so the sign and symptoms are subtle at first, but become worse as time goes on. Okay, so for me, it took about 2 years for all this to really compound itself and finally slam into me like it did. Let's see. So think of the early symptoms as red flags. This says that something is wrong and needs to be addressed. If you pay attention and actively reduce your stress, you can prevent a major breakdown. If you ignore them, you'll eventually burn out. So here I've got a list of physical signs and symptoms of burnout. So this is the physical. This is your body. So feeling tired and drained most of the time. Lowered immunity and frequent illnesses. Frequent headaches or muscle pain. That one had my name all over it. Change in appetite or sleep habits. For me, I don't sleep. It's very rare. Okay, so those were the physical. Here's the emotional. It's how you're going to feel. Emotional signs and symptoms of burnout. Sense of failure and self-doubt. Hello. Feeling helpless, trapped, and defeated. Detachment, feeling alone in the world. Loss of motivation. Increasingly cynical and a negative outlook. Most of us anymore. Social media has made us this way. Social media has made us increasingly cynical, and we always have a negative outlook. Because if anyone posts anything, you can rest assured someone's smart-ass remark is not far behind. Seriously, think about it. Doesn't matter what you post or what a friend of yours posts. They can post anything. They can post, what a beautiful sky today. Someone is going to have a cynical response to that. We see it all the time. And then the last emotional sign of burnout, decreased satisfaction and sense of accomplishment. Okay, so now behavioral signs. You can look for this in yourself. You can look for this in others. Seriously, like, people saw these things in me. See if you see them in somebody else. Withdrawing from responsibilities. What did I say I was going to do? I was going to take a week away. I was going to withdraw from the responsibility of the show and from interaction with people. Isolating yourself from others. Hello again. Procrastinating, taking longer to get things done. Using food, drugs, or alcohol to cope. We've talked about those previously. Taking out your frustrations on others. We see that a lot, especially in the social media realm, where people will be frustrated about this, that, and the other, and they'll take it out on others, where, beyond a cynical response to just downright mean, downright just black-hearted. And then skipping work or coming in late and leaving early. I don't know what they're talking about there. Or I've been very guilty of that myself. So the difference between stress and burnout, because I know that a lot of times you might feel they're one and the same. According to this study, they're not. And I'll post the link to this. I mean, trust me, I did not come up with all this myself, although it lines up very well with the things that I was experiencing. So burnout may be a result of unrelenting stress, but it isn't the same as too much stress. Stress, by and large, involves too much, too many pressures that demand too much of you physically and mentally. However, stressed people can still imagine that if they can just get everything under control, they'll feel better. The illusion of progress. Burnout, on the other hand, is about not enough. Being burned out means feeling empty and mentally exhausted, devoid of motivation, and beyond caring. People experiencing burnout often don't see any hope of positive change in their situations. If excessive stress feels like you're drowning in responsibilities, burnout is a sense of being all dried up. And while you're usually aware of being under a lot of stress, you don't always notice burnout when it happens. True? I mean, I think they nailed this right on the head. When we're stressed out, it's just too much. There's too much. It's too fast. Everything's happening all at once. And then when we're burned out, it's like, oh, there's just, it's not too much. It's not anything. I get no joy from this. I get no satisfaction. And so there is definitely a difference in it. So stress versus burnout. So here we go. We've got two columns here. We've got stress and we've got burnout. Stress, characterized by overengagement. Burnout, characterized by disengagement. So overengagement, disengagement. Stress, emotions are overreactive. Burnout, emotions are blunted. Stress produces urgency and hyperactivity. Burnout produces helplessness and hopelessness. Stress, loss of energy. Burnout, loss of motivation, ideals, and hope. Stress leads to anxiety disorders. Burnout leads to detachment and depression. Stress, primary damage is physical. Burnout, primary damage is emotional. Stress may kill you prematurely. Burnout may make life seem not worth living. So those are just our two columns of stress versus burnout. So causes of burnout, we've kind of been over a few, but here, let's look at these. So burnout in work, in lifestyles, and then in personality. So work-related burnout. Feeling like you have little or no control over your work. Lack of recognition or reward for good work. Unclear or overly demanding job expectations. Doing work that is monotonous and unchallenging. And then working in a chaotic or high-pressure environment. Those can all lead to workplace burnout. Lifestyle causes of burnout. Working too much without enough time for socializing or relaxing. Lack of close, supportive relationships. I'm going to read that one again. Lack of close and supportive relationships. Okay, so this past weekend, and I think one of the reasons I got recharged, I got to see some of the people most supportive to me in my life. Saturday morning, I was at the cheer station with my Team Fidelis people, cheering on all the runners, running the Kansas City half marathon and the Kansas City full marathon. That absolutely refilled me. I'm hanging out with good people. I'm doing a good thing, and I'm helping to inspire runners with the last 4 miles of their course. After that, going to a concert with my concert buddy, one of my dearest friends. We go to the concert. We have a great night. We get to talk. We get to hang out. We have a beer together. Again, kind of refilled me. And I think that's one of the reasons I was ready to jump back into the show, is because Saturday, and then, of course, my daughters, who are always, just the best in my world, all of that together really helped me kind of fill back up. So that's the lifestyle. There's a few more here. Taking on too many responsibilities without enough help from others. Daniel, if you're listening, taking on too many responsibilities without enough help from others. And then not getting enough sleep. Again, always a very important one. Now, personality traits that can contribute to burnout. So personality, that was lifestyle. This is personality. So a little more you on the inside. Let's see, perfectionistic tendencies where nothing is ever good enough. Pessimistic view on yourself and the world. Again, all of us are guilty. The need to be in control reluctant to delegate to others, and then high achieving type A personalities. That's not something I would have put together, that the type A personalities would be the ones that would be more inclined to burn out. But yeah, I think I can see that. I can see that. So here's where it's time to act. So whether you recognize the warning signs of impending burnout or you're already past the breaking point, like I was, trying to push through the exhaustion and continuing as you have will only cause further emotional and physical damage. Now is the time to pause and change direction by learning how you can help yourself overcome burnout and feel healthy and positive again. So dealing with burnout requires a 3R approach. And again, this is their opinion, the 3 R's. That is recognize, watch for the warning signs of burnout, reverse, undo the damage by seeking support and managing stress. Ding, 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 ding. And then resilience. Build your resilience to stress by taking care of your physical and emotional health. Those walk hand in hand, physical and emotional health. So it says here, to deal with burnout, turn to other people. When you're on the road to burnout, you can feel helpless, but you have a lot more control over stress than you might think. There are positive steps you can take to deal with overwhelming stress and get your life back into balance. I think balance is a good word. One of the most effective is to reach out to others. Social contact is nature's antidote to stress, and talking face-to-face with a good listener is one of the fastest ways to calm your nervous system and relieve stress. And what did I just tell you about my Saturday? How true is that? The person you talk to doesn't have to be able to fix your stressors. They just have to be a good listener, someone who will listen attentively without becoming distracted and expressing judgment. Another reason I love my people. My people do not judge. You know me. You listened to me for 2 years. I do not judge. I'm the last person who can judge somebody else. So talk to that person who is not going to judge you. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Yeah, we just harken back to the old WWGKW days. That's Walking with God with Kyle Walker, this former podcast name, the former podcast name. So reach out to those closest to you, such as your partner, family, friends. Opening up won't make you a burden to others. Listen again. Opening up will not make you a burden to others. And it's so hard for us to understand this. Okay. In fact, most friends and loved ones will be flattered that you trust them enough to confide in them. And it will only strengthen your friendship, your relationship, whatever you want to call it. Try not to think about what's burning you out, and make time for you to spend with loved ones that are positive and enjoyable. So don't just sit at home and dwell on what's burning you out. Go spend time with loved ones, enjoyable time with your loved ones. Be more sociable with your coworkers. I'm not going to read through all this. Everyone's job situation is different. I'm not going to pretend like I know yours. My coworkers are not really the group I'm going to choose to open myself up to. That's just not the group of people I work with. So I'm just going to kind of gloss over that one. Here's the big one, though. Limit your contact with negative people. Hanging out with negative-minded people who do nothing but complain will only drag down your mood and outlook. If you have to work with a negative person, try to limit the amount of time you spend together. Been there, done that. I used to work with a guy who could not say a nice word about anything, to the point I was visibly angry anytime we had to occupy the same space for a staff meeting or whatever the situation was. People could see it written on my face that I did not like this guy. And it's true. He brought my mood down whenever he was around. So people like that, you have to limit your contact. Okay? Whether you run a charitable organization and you have to deal with a lot of jerk faces, limit your contact with said jerk faces. Or if it's at work, or if it's a family member. Everyone's got jerk face family members. You know, law says you have to hang around with them. So that's a big one right there. Limit your contact with negative people. And then connect with a cause or a community group that is personally meaningful to you. Hey, joining a religious, social, or support group can give you a place to talk to like-minded people about how to deal with the daily stress and to make new friends. If your line of work has a professional association, you can attend meetings and interact with others coping in the same workplace demands. And the last one is find new friends. If you don't feel that you have anyone to turn to, it's never too late to build a new friendship and expand your social network. I like that. So get rid of the negative people and surround yourself with more positive people, even if you have to go out and make new friends. I always like to make new friends. You should make new friends. Let's all make new friends. New friends are awesome. So the next part here, they go into they call it the power of giving, where they talk about you can spend time trying to work with a charity or give to others, give of your time basically. So I wanted to skip down to this part though, because I think this is a big one. I know that I'm guilty too. The next section is reevaluate priorities. Burnout is an undeniable sign that something important in your life is not working. Take time to think about your hopes, your goals, and your dreams. Are you neglecting something that is truly important to you? This can be an opportunity to rediscover what really makes you happy and to slow down and give yourself time to rest, reflect, and heal. I like this. Again, our priorities all get out of whack. Everyone's guilty of this. We set out with the best of intentions, and then something derails us, and then we bunny trail over here, and our priorities just get all messed up. So yeah, slow down. Give yourself that time, as they say, to rest, reflect, and heal. Another big one, set boundaries. Oh, I've been terrible at this in my life, and I always hope to be better. Set boundaries. Don't overextend yourself. Learn how to say no to requests on your time. I'm the worst at this. If you find this difficult, remind yourself that saying no allows you to say yes to the commitments that you want to make. You're not obligated to say yes every second of every day. Trust me, I speak from experience, and I'm still terrible at it. Take a daily break from technology. Set a time each day where you completely disconnect. Put away your laptop, turn off your phone, and stop checking email. I like this step. Nourish your creative side. Creativity is a powerful antidote to burnout. Try something new, start a fun project, or resume a favorite hobby. Choose activities that have nothing to do with work whatsoever, and whatever else is causing your stress. I love this. I love it. That's so big. If you're good at something, do it. Enjoy it. A person I know who was a great painter, I could not get her to paint. It was an escape, and it was super good. So that just kind of drove me nuts. For me, it's working on the show. I love working on the show. Sometimes it stresses me out, but I like to work on this and try and grow this thing. Let's see. Next is set aside relaxation time. Relaxation techniques such as yoga, meditation, and deep breathing activate the body's relaxation response, a state of restfulness that is the opposite of the stress response. This is good for me. You guys know I like to exercise. I like running. And lately, I've been going for walks. Just a walk, not a run. I just bundle up because it's getting cold outside, and I'll walk 5 or 6 miles. It has been wonderful for mental health. Now, I'll tell you, last week when I was doing this, I went for a walk. I was going for 5 miles, and for the first 3.5, I couldn't stop looking at the ground. Like, I felt so bad just with everything going on that my head was down. I was just my head down, mopey, and then finally I was able to lift my head up, take a deep breath, and just enjoy. Oh, look, I'm out on a beautiful night. Things are not as bad as they feel in my brain. And that's when I started to formulate how I was going to bring myself out of the rut that I was in. So go take a walk. But when you do, chin up, all right? Think positively, think whatever you need to think while you're trucking along, but don't lower your head in shame, because it's not worth it. Even when there's no one around. I caught myself doing it. Don't you do it. So let's see. And then the last one here is get plenty of sleep. Feeling tired can exacerbate burnout by causing you to think irrationally. Keep your cool in stressful situations by getting a good night's sleep. I dig it. I dig it. So the next two things, and we're not going to talk about it because we've already touched on it. Make exercise a priority, because a good physical exercise does help you mentally, releases endorphins, it releases a lot of things that will help you out. And then support your mood and energy levels by eating a healthy diet. Easier said than done, because good Lord knows I feel better when I'm eating a very big greasy cheeseburger. Who doesn't? So anyway, we are at 8:30. There is our time. I saw people trickling in and out all evening. Thank you for those who stayed and joined. I see Jenny, Kelly, Alyssa, and Jima on here. Thank you guys very much. Anyone else who might be on that I just can't see, thank you for your time. I hope this was mildly helpful. Feel free to reach out to me, talk to me if you need to. Because, yeah, it's I was relieved when I could put my finger on what was wrong with me. And if any of this pertained to you, then maybe you can kind of put your finger on what's wrong with you. That sounds bad. That almost sounds judgmental. No. Whatever it is that is bothering you currently, put your finger on it so that you can solve it and start to heal from it. So please feel free to share this episode. As always, like, comment, and share. It's the only way we grow. And if I'm out there begging for likes, please, for the love of all that is holy, don't unlike the show. I take it personally, and it hurts my feelings. Nah, that's it. That's all I got. Hey, thanks, everyone. I do appreciate you, as always. Please, like I said, share this episode because, for once, I feel like it didn't suck, right? All right. Thank you for everyone for all that you do. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. It's going to be just me next week, and then the week after is Joe right here in this chair. So, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it, as always. Nothing but love for y'all. That's it. I don't have like a really great thing. Oh, the ending I've been on ever since we started up. Don't text and drive. Be safe. Be nice to one another. And I'll see you guys next week. Good night, everyone.